If you happen to visit the website today and happen to be a client, you read what I wrote. And that is that I handicapped the 4 college football games tonight every which way but Sunday. I looked at these games. I researched these games. I spent hours looking at these games. And I still couldn't figure out which side I liked. And there is nothing wrong as a gambler, as a handicapper, standing here saying that sometimes you just don't know which way to go. Vanity as a gambler, as a handicapper, thinking that you always know it all is the thing that ultimately will take more money out of your pocket than anything else. And I'll tell you what, over the years, in my TV appearances and my radio appearances, I've often been asked about games, and I'll simply tell the host of the show that I happen to be a guest on that I don't know. I can tell you my opinions, my thoughts, but sometimes I just don't know. So in tonight's case, I suddenly went to the baseball card and I'm looking up and down the card. And then just like that, after hours spent handicapping college football, one game just jumped off the board and it was screaming, bet me, bet me, bet me. And you know as well as I do, that's how it comes out sometimes. There was just that one game that just leaps off the board. That little guy on your shoulder is telling you, yeah, that's in me. Come on, get me. Do it now. And that's the game you got to bet. College football tonight, that was not the case. I mean, seriously, Nebraska, Illinois, who among you out there have any interest in Nebraska and Illinois? BYU and Utah State? Seriously? Okay, I can see the 2 marquee games. Duke and Miami of Florida, Washington State and USC. I understand the interest in those. Just because they're going to be good games to watch, just because they're interesting games, doesn't mean they're any damn easier to bet. And true, every single game is a 50-50 betting proposition. But that doesn't mean that you know whether or not it's going to be heads or tails when you're flipping that coin, in this case tonight. So let me break down this USC-Washington State game. The line is anywhere from 5 to 6 points, depending on where you're betting it, okay? Now, I look at this Washington State team, and I see Mike Leach, and I see Mike Leach's team, and I go to myself, who the hell have they played to getting off to that 4-0 start? Who have they beaten? Okay, they opened up at home against Montana State. Yeah, that Montana State. Boy, Montana State. Montana State, a 1-2 team with its only win against North Dakota. Okay, then they beat Boise State. 47-44 is a 10-point favorite at home. They had to rally from a double-digit deficit. And who has Boise State beaten? New Mexico and Troy. Now, that opponent is the only opponent that Washington State has beaten in its 4-0 start who was actually beaten in a Division 1A team, or shall we say FBS team. That's it. Otherwise, they beat 1-3 Washington State, a Washington State whose only victory this season came against Portland State, and they beat an 0-4 Nevada. Not exactly murderer's row. Okay, now we look at USC. USC, first time leaving the state of California. USC, last week, if not for the 6 turnovers in Berkeley against California, the Golden Bears committed. Maybe they don't win that game, but they won the game. And the Texas game, if not for the fact that USC moved the ball up and down the field, but simply couldn't get it done in the red zone, Texas, they were lucky to escape with that double overtime win against the Longhorns. But in retrospect, after watching the Longhorns defense last night at Iowa State, maybe this Texas team, I didn't give the Longhorns as much credit as they deserved. This defense is pretty damn good. But still, USC managed to win that game. USC, in their undefeated start, they've only played one solid game, and that was against Stanford. And USC has a hell of a lot of injuries. And I go back to that California game last week. Ronald Jones, their top running back, did not play, so they had to rely on Stephen Carr nonstop. But Jones is back tonight. But USC still has some injury problems along the front offensive line. Top tight end is out. Their number 1 wide receiver is out. And remember, that wide receiver core was weakened by the NFL draft last year. So Sam Darnold, he has 7 interceptions. The passing game is not nearly as potent as it was a year ago. But I go back to this Washington State team. Yes, they moved the ball. And Luke Falk is off to a great start. But I keep asking you, who have they beaten? And when's the last time a Mike Leach team delivered in a big game situation? It's going to be a frenzied crowd there tonight. And granted, since USC, not exactly a road warrior, that's for damn sure. Since Clay Helton took over as full-time coach, they're 9-0 at home and 5-5 outside of the Coliseum. And that defense has some question marks. And yet I can't pull the trigger on Washington State because they should have smoked Boise State. It was a revenge situation. They had them at home, and instead they fell down by 2 touchdowns against a Boise State team that can't even settle on its damn quarterback. And you know Washington State just doesn't deliver in big game situations. So I'm going to lean on USC tonight and lay the points. Again, I think it's going to be a fascinating game to watch. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I can certainly see the over coming in. But I think USC is the play here. And I've done hell of a good job with the free picks, you have to admit, right? So I think USC is the play. As far as the other games, I can certainly see Duke getting the job done as the 6-point favorite at home because Miami of Florida, because of Hurricane Irma, they had the long layoff. Who have the Hurricanes played? Bethune-Cookman, 8 of 17 on third downs on offense. Toledo, the Rockets, 13 of 23 on third downs on offense. Are the Hurricanes going to be able to get off the field tonight? The question is, has Duke been tested by anybody of note offensively? Yes, they beat North Carolina. Yes, they went on the road and beat Boston College. Yes, they took care of business at home against the depleted Baylor team, but this is the best opponent they played so far. But you really don't know whether or not Miami of Florida is any good. So I can see jumping on the points and taking the dog here, but the question mark is the U. We don't know how good the U is because of the early season delays caused by the hurricane and because they haven't played anybody yet. And let's face it, it's a one-sided series with the Hurricanes winning 11 of the last 12 meetings straight up. And yet I would lean toward the dog, but not enough points for me to get heavily invested with the Dukies here tonight. So again, USC is the only play. That'll do it.